This is what we need to know. We need to know how do we stop fighting ourselves, right? This is the number one thing as I see it, that there is this struggle. And like, sometimes we project it out into the world like, oh no, it's sugar, that's the struggle and it's out there. No, it's society, and society's telling me that I need to be a certain weight or, and body size and whatever. And like it seems sometimes like it's outside, but the bottom line is that whatever struggle at the end of the day, when all of the other stuff kind of settles and fades away, the real struggle and the real fight that we have is with ourselves. Because there's nobody else there. Like every meal that you show up to, it is you. Every night that you go to bed, there you are. Every morning you wake up, there you are. You are the only one who is making choices for yourself throughout the day. I mean, on any kind of regular basis, obviously. When all of the dust settles, it is always going to be between me and myself. And like, that seems like almost kind of ridiculous, right? Like, of course, that should be like the easiest person to get along with, right? Like, I have the most experience conversating and dealing with and living with and negotiating with and either loving or being mean to myself. And so this is my longest relationship that I have ever had and ever will have. Right? Like I was born, there I was, and the day that I die, there I will go. So this idea that somehow we are struggling with ourselves and fighting with ourselves. And this is one of the reasons why mindset is so important when it comes to weight loss. It's not just hypnosis, but that's like one of the techniques that I've learned along the way. I mean, it's kind of the same like with diet, right? It's like, okay, like you do all the millions of different diets and you learn all the different things about nutrition, and everyone's different perspective and what they are saying and what they know and what the science is. And you kind of got to take like a little bit from all of those things and begin to create like your own experience. That's what we all do, right? Like there's no, like all of the ways are right in a way, right? So the way that I have found it, that I share with people, it's not the only way. I know this is like, oh, how can you say that? You have to say yours is the only. It's not the only way. It is a way, and it does work. And so if this resonates with you, that you really get that there's something more than just the food, although the food is super important, right? And it's not just the mindset, although the mindset is really important. But if you're like happy, happy, joyous, and free in your mind, and you're meditating every day, and you feel super spiritual and connected, and yet you're eating in a way that is noticeably harmful to your health and your body, to where you're having the aches and the pains and the medications and the dis-eases and the weight gain and all of these symptoms of like the input, the physical input is not jiving with the physical body. It doesn't matter how spiritual you all are, there's a disconnect. And it's the same thing with food. Like you could have the perfect food plan, right? Like be eating literally like your body physically is like on point. It's like, yes, like you meditate and you exercise and you drink the water and you're eating all the perfect foods for your body. And yet, if you are in relationships that you don't want to be in, if you are unsatisfied with your life, if you're disappointed with the choices that you've made, if you've got this like mental tirade going on in your mind, but you're thin, well, there's a disconnect there. Do you see what I mean? And so it is an interesting thing to really bring these two seemingly separate things together and connect them in a way that is also spiritual, so that all of our parts are running on all cylinders. So we've got the physical health and vitality that is consistent with our mental and emotional health and vitality, that we're not running away to deal with our emotions. We're not running to food to deal with our feelings. That there is this incredible synchronicity that begins to happen when we begin to put food in its proper place, meaning that it's wonderful and fun and exciting while you're eating it. And then there's space in between meals to go and live and to enjoy life and to do things and to have feelings and emotions and be able to deal with that appropriately. And so when we come back to this idea of the argument that we have with ourselves, it is often because there is some kind of disconnect going on, whether it's physical or the mental, emotional, or the spiritual side, and we have a judgment about it, the world. But it makes sense because that's the way in which we nourish and nurture the body. And if we are to stop fighting ourselves, like just ponder this for a moment. What if you woke up tomorrow morning and there was no argument? There was no fight. There was no good girl, bad girl. There was no, I've got to do this for this reason. There was no do, be that good girl. And you just allowed yourself to be a human being. Now, oftentimes women who have struggled with their weight think that that kind of relaxation would then lead to eating, quote, whatever they wanted to eat. But the interesting thing is, when you actually remove the judgment and the having to do stuff, what it is that we want to do is actually consistent with what the body actually needs, which probably isn't a donut. I'm just throwing that out there, right? That if you had to ask your physical body without the like joy and texture and memories and drama, whatever, all of that stuff that like comes up when we think of donuts, we're to literally just ask your body, like the cells in your body, hey, is this a good idea? Like, are you going to thrive today? Like, with this sitting on top of you, absorbing into your cells, and your body's probably going to say, not today, right? Not today. Thank you very much. So there is a consistency with what we're thinking, what we are doing, what we are eating and drinking, that all revolve around this really beautiful health and vitality, energy, calmness, surrender. It is a surrender, and it's not a surrender like a give up, but it is a surrender in giving up fighting self. Because the bottom line is, when you fight yourself, there's no winner. It doesn't matter which side wins, the other side loses. Like, so there's always a sense of loss, no matter what you're doing. And that's what sucks. If you've struggled with food and your weight for a long time, like feeling in control of your food and like being at the like thinner weight or whatever, the lower weight that you quote want to be, there is a sense of loss. And then when you feel like out of control, there's like this, oh, I'm eating whatever I want to eat, but there's also a loss. There's a loss of sanity. There's a loss of control. There's a loss of all the clothes that now don't fit. And so when we stop fighting, we actually take the winning and the losing off of the table. And we're no longer stuck in that awful duality. And it can take a little bit of tenderness and patience and honesty with other human beings that have been down the same path and are supporting each other to kind of like the pendulum, how it kind of like swings, right? To kind of settle into the in-between where we're not feeling deprived and yet we're feeding our body properly. Where we're not stuffing our emotions, but we're not having the waves of emotions, the big highs and the low lows. And we begin to see things in a different way. And that is one of the greatest joys that I am so excited to share with you. Because again, if you're someone who's been all over the place with dieting and frustration and back and forth and good girl, bad girl, and I've done good today and how many days and you're counting, oh my God, what a nightmare. What a total nightmare. So be good to yourself. Stop fighting. So what that means is that every single time you find yourself in a position or a situation where you're beginning to judge yourself with that kind of duality, where there's a part of you that's right and a part of you that's wrong, that is still engaging in the fight. And to disengage means to take your attention, take your awareness, take your judgment back a notch. You can totally do this. This is your mind. This is your body. This is your life. These are your thoughts. I was told a long time ago when I was dealing with just like a variety of different addictions, right? Like thinking that I needed this thing to be okay and that thing to be okay. That was actually one of the best descriptions of addiction that I've ever heard, was in this book called Conversations with God. And again, like you have to get it with the whole context. You can't just take like one sentence out of an entire series of books and go like, that's that. But the basic gist was that addiction is the need of something on the outside to be okay on the inside, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever that is. And so if there is something that we're like, oh, I can't be okay unless I have this thing, that it can be considered an addiction. And I was like, wow, I like totally resonate with that. Right. Well, it's like this relationship or this job or this amount of money or the car or, the food, or if I was just, a certain weight, if I could just get this weight off, then I would be okay. Then I would be happy. Then I wouldn't binge eat anymore. Then I would know how to keep the weight off, like this fantasy world that somehow if things were different, then I would feel differently, not realizing that I actually have a choice over the way that I feel. And if I felt the way that I think that I want to feel by losing that weight now, then how easy it would be to lose the weight, because it's a natural process of doing the right thing for your body at the right time. Okay, so this is this power lesson for the day. You don't need to fight yourself anymore, and no one else is doing it to you. No one else is doing it to you. It's just yourself. So if you're finding yourself in that, angel, devil, back and forth, you have the power to end that, to stop that, to disengage from the fight right now. And anytime that there's the tease to come back, you have the power after the first thought. As soon as you notice it, you have the power to then say, no, thank you, I'm not engaging today, and steer your direction in the other way. Go for a walk, journal, call me, to grab some water, do anything, be anything, meditate. All right. You're so amazing. I'm so proud of you. It is so fun to be on this journey and to have this similar kind of issue that we can talk about and relate to each other in that kind of like very human, beautiful, compassionate way, and go, oh my God, that's right. Because it's so easy to forget that we actually have control. We actually have the power to reprogram our own mind, our own thinking, and our own lives in the direction that we want to go. And that is one of the things that really drew me to hypnosis and hypnotherapy, because the way that I was trained, Dr. Porter, he told me, he's like, Rose, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. We're just helping people wake up to the fact that they actually have the power inside of them, right? So share it, learn it, teach it, grow it. All right. I love you so much. Talk to you soon.